Hey y'all, welcome back. So, after 4 unanimous votes on the poll that I posted, the decision was in to tell my story of what happened for my awakening, who that involved. So, I will start by saying I can be a little long-winded. I'll do my very best to keep this short, but it's a beautiful love story, I think. So let's get into it. In case you can't watch the whole video and you need a too long didn't read or a summary, the short version is that I fell in love with the woman of my dreams. A woman that I didn't think would exist, with the type of love that I didn't think was real except for in movies. And the long version is that almost 10 years ago, I was in a relationship. I was in Arizona about to move to Texas, and a friend of mine was tagged in a photo on Facebook with a few other people. And one of the names stood out, even though I didn't know the person. And I clicked on the name, and I saw the person. I'm not going to say the person's name. I'm going to leave them anonymous in this video. But that person was a brown-eyed brunette that I had never met before, I'd never seen. But when I saw her picture, two magnets inside me felt like they clicked together. I don't know if you've ever held two magnets and tried to fight them from actually connecting, but that's what I felt inside my heart, inside my stomach. And although I didn't know this person, and I didn't know if there was a future for it, and I didn't actually dwell on it too much, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I had felt. So I went about my business, moved on with my day, moved on with my life, just kept living what I was already doing. In 2020, I moved back to Arizona, and still hadn't met that person. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about them, but that feeling had never gone away. It was always still kind of there. There was always this wonder what that meant. In 2022, September of 2022, I went to meet a friend at his house. When I got there, that person that I had seen in that picture was there. And at this point, my previous relationship had ended and I was divorced, or divorcing. And here in front of me was this 5'1", brown-eyed brunette that walked past me and very quickly into my life and into my heart. I replaced a headlight bulb in her car. I remember I reached through the window to turn the headlights on because she was sitting in the car. And she looked at me like a deer in the headlights. And I'm pretty sure I looked at her like a deer in the headlights. And I turned on the lights to the car. She said to me, "I thought you were going to touch my leg." And I don't think either of us knew how to respond to that. I don't think either of us expected that. But I still remember that to this day. That was the beginning of what became a short-lived relationship between the two of us. But it was a relationship that was full of feeling seen by somebody. Feeling like somebody actually saw me for who I was and the potential that I had within me. Someone believed in me. And the way that that person loved wasn't anything I'd ever experienced before. I was in my late 30s, or my mid-30s rather, and I felt like being a kid. It felt like being a teenager that was falling in love for the very first time. And without getting into the harsh details of what my situation was, I was struggling with some personal demons and some personal issues that unfortunately consumed me at that time. And because of my inability to rise in that moment, that relationship did not continue at that time. And we parted ways. But that magnet never separated within me. That magnet remained stuck to the other magnet. And it took me some time to realize that that other magnet was that person. It wasn't just some feeling that I had. It was a connection that somehow was bigger than something I understood. And in the midst of the chaos and the unfortunate events that were happening in my life, due to some of my decisions and my actions, I was presented with an opportunity to change those things, to change myself, to find myself. I spent a lot of time in my youth and into my 20s and 30s hiding myself behind fear and these other decisions. And although I had some spirituality and beliefs, I didn't live within them. I didn't really fully embrace them. But I was presented with this opportunity to do so. And I did. I committed to that. That was in December of 2023. And my life has changed drastically since I began my spiritual pursuit. My pursuit to become a better person, to love myself the way that I never allowed myself to before, and to accept who I really was. And my whole world changed around that. And I met new people, and I went new places, and I started a new career, and that feeling never went away. And then one day I came home from work, and I opened up my iPad, and there was that person on YouTube as a creator. And somehow, which I still don't understand and I don't try to question too much because I don't believe in coincidences, my YouTube account was subscribed to that person's channel, although I had never seen it before. And that feeling within me, those two stuck together magnets, although it had never changed, was now like somehow reignited. It was even stronger. And I knew that whatever that feeling wasn't wrong, and that I belonged to that person, and that I still belong to that person. That person is doing very well for themselves. They are thriving. They have a beautiful life that they've made for themselves, and I think that that is an incredible thing. I'm very proud of them. I'm very happy for them. They deserve all those things, and they're capable of some very incredible things. And although we haven't connected as the new versions of ourselves, that's something that I'm leaving up to the universe. But the transformation that changed me, this life, this pathway that I've been pursuing, only came to be because of that person. I was presented with multiple opportunities in my life to change my ways and find myself. But it was never the right time, never the right place, and I was always still hidden behind some fear. But what that person brought up from within me, showed me about myself, brought forth all this strength and all this love and this capability that I never believed was within me. And here I am. And I don't know if I'll ever connect with that person. My heart and my gut tells me that I will. And that somehow, in the same ways that the universe brought us out of our near orbits of each other and crashed us together before, the universe will do the same thing when the timing is right. And I'm okay with that. As I said, I belong to that person. It is a love that maybe sounds fairy tale-ish, maybe sounds like stuff that you only see in movies. But it is a love that I have experienced firsthand, that I've witnessed in the flesh and seen in somebody else, and in myself. I do believe that that true love, that type of love, exists and is real. Maybe it's written in the stars, maybe it's written within our DNA as people that knew each other in past lives. that we're always destined to be together. That somehow that's what's about to happen. So I've waited for that person, and I've worked on myself. I've explored my spirituality, and I've become this evolving, ever-changing, better version of myself in pursuit of being love and happiness as me, because that person showed me that. And I would have never told these stories before, because I would always have been too worried about what other people thought. They told me that I was crazy or that these things would never happen. And one thing that I learned to really embrace and accept for myself in this whole process was that if anything beautiful happens in your life, it happens when you're staying true to yourself and to your pursuit in whatever way that is. And I don't mean in negative ways, but I do mean in positive, loving, beautiful ways. This is my story. This is my truth. It is a truth that nobody can sway or shake, because it is not an opinion. It is something that is rooted within here for me. And it is something that belongs to that other person. So I don't care what other people think. I know my truth. I'm staying true to myself, and I'm living in that love, even though I'm not with that person. And although this may sound sappy, and I don't care if you think it sounds crazy, I hope that you all experience a love to that level at some point in your life, because it's a beautiful thing. And even if it's only temporary, you get to experience something incredible. And if you really embrace it and you really lean into it, your whole world will shift and everything will become more than you ever imagined. I hope y'all enjoyed that story. I left a lot of details out about synchronicities between that person's life and mine, times, places, and things that were shown to me and her. And if you guys would like me to get into detail about that, I will. But in the meantime, I just wanted to share that story and tell you guys where this all began for me, where it's going. Thanks for watching, y'all. Bye. I remember I reached through the window to turn the headlights on because she was sitting in the car. And she looked at me like a deer in the headlights, and I'm pretty sure I looked at her. And my whole world changed around that. And I met new people, and I went new places, and I started a new career, and there was that person on YouTube as a creator, and love and happiness as me, because that person showed me that. And I would have never told these stories, because I would always have been too worried about what other people thought. They told me that I was crazy or that these things would never happen. And one thing that I learned in whatever way that is, and I don't mean in negative ways, but I do mean in positive, loving, or shake, because it is not an opinion. It is something that is rooted within here for me. And it is something, and although this may sound sappy, and I don't care if you think it sounds crazy, I hope that you all experience a love to that person's life and mine, times, places, and things that were shown to me and her. And if you guys would like me to get into detail about that, I will.